I'm waiting. And unmute your mic or you can type in the chat section. Anybody? Nobody? Okay, so you're not looking forward to learning anything in this class. Okay, I can see 2 responses. Looking forward to learning how my article can rank on search engine, how to better optimize my blog for content. Okay, for blog to be seen when searched for. Okay, how to optimize articles without sounding robotic. All right, thank you, Titilayo, Elizabeth, Joe, and Rabi. Sylvanius, you wanted to say something? You can go ahead. Let me share my screen.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay. Like when I saw this topic, I was super excited because I've been wondering how to like improve my SEO optimization. Yeah, like my page, like my website, my blog on search engine. So that does it.
Oh, okay. You have a blog?
Yeah, I have a blog.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Okay, let's see. Let me share my screen and let's get started. Nice to hear from you. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen. Please hold on. Let me reshare this. Hold on, please. That's the way. Please just give me a minute. I don't want to duplicate my screen. If I'm sharing the same tab, I'm using the Google Meet on. I need to share my, because I want to be seeing your responses. I don't want to be stuck on one. Okay, let's get started. So before we kickstart this, I would like to hear from you. What do you know about SEO so far? You can type in the comment section. What do you know about SEO so far? I'm curious. Since for those of you who have a blog or those of you who have heard about SEO or you're excited about this class, what have you heard about SEO that makes you excited and you want to learn about it? What's the big deal about, ranking your posts and your page? Anybody? Anybody? 1 or 2 people so I can move on. What do you know about SEO? What do you know about search engine optimization? You know how to use Yoast? Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Rabi. Or said yes. Anybody else? So the thing about using Yoast on WordPress for on-page SEO, for those who don't know, Yoast is like an app. So the way you have apps on your phone is the same way you have plugins on websites. So the plugins on websites are like apps on your phone. So you have Yoast that helps you insert certain keywords or do certain things on your website to show that, okay, you want this thing to rank for SEO. But the thing is, if you don't know the fundamentals of SEO, of search engine optimization, you won't be able to get your SEO, your used SEO right. So it's not just about ticking the boxes on your website and saying, oh, used SEO says it's good to go, then that means my SEO is perfect. If you've not learned the fundamentals, then you might just be doing rubbish because you might tick all the boxes on used SEO, but at the same time, your content will not rank on search engines. Do you understand? So you need to learn the fundamentals first before you start using tools, before you can say, oh, now I know how to use the tools properly to my advantage. So anybody else who knows anything about SEO, there's nobody will have to move on. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat section or raise your hand to talk. But preferably, I would prefer questions after the classes or after the class is over. David says for SEO for me is ranking for my posts or articles so I could get visitors for more visibility. Yes, correct. So with search engine optimization, you can rank your posts or articles to increase your visibility on search engines. Search engines mostly being Google because we use Google a lot. Most people use Google. Unlike we say have Binge, we say have other search engines. Most people use Google. So I'm aware that this is a class for technical writers. So you guys should be familiar with technical terms, right? So I don't have to go back to the basics and I'm telling you about certain things because I believe as technical writers, you know some technical things already. But I will try not to assume too much because I believe there are also beginners here who might not be familiar with some of these terms. So I would focus mostly on search engine optimization, SEO content writing. So before I go ahead into it, let me just tell you that SEO can be divided into on-page SEO and off-page SEO. There's on-page SEO that is refers to SEO on the page. That means whatever you're doing on your web content at that particular time, that's on-page SEO to make sure that your content rank on search engines. That's on-page SEO. But off-page SEO is what you're doing outside of the site. So if my website is contentandplanning.com. So if on my website I'm doing certain things, I'm using SEO, I'm doing as much as I can to make sure the content I'm working on ranks on search engine. That's on-page SEO. But if after publishing my content, if I decide to publicize my posts or to share my posts on Twitter, on Facebook, to make sure that more people read my content, that's off-page SEO because now I'm outside the website. I'm no longer on the website. I'm outside the website. And also, if I decide to publish, maybe let's say Titilayo has a website of her own. So she wrote an article, and I decided, okay, I want Titilayo to link to my content that I have published. So she includes the links to my posts in her own post. That's also off page SEO because I've gone outside of my website, I've gone outside of my page, I've gone outside of my content to publicize this particular post. So I'm trying to do as much as I can to make sure that my posts rank on search engines because ranking on search engine is beyond just writing the content. There's also the part of publicizing it to reach more people. There's a part of trying to insert your link in other people's websites to create backlinks. So there's so much about SEO we need to learn. Actually, this SEO thing is a whole course I teach, and I teach it for about 3 weeks to 1 month. So if we're going to do this in 1 hour or a bit more than 1 hour, I need you to pay attention because I'm going to focus on the most important things. I cannot teach you the entire thing in SEO in this one class. So please just try to pay close attention and leave your questions. If I miss your questions, just take me back to it and I'll answer them. So let's get started. Here I wrote that SEO is a great way to market your content organically for free. So you just do the right thing and you can promote your work without spending a dime. So this is just a rough idea of what SEO is. SEO is search engine optimization, right? But when you say it's a great way to market your content, you can market your content with paid ads and decide to pay for publicity. You can decide to pay Google actually, because if you publish your content, if you search for something on Google, you'd see a part for ads, but at the same time, you can search for your content on Google and you just see that your content appears on the first page of Google without even paying for anything. That's what search engine optimization does. And how much do you want to pay for, especially if you're just starting out, if you're just a beginner, you can start paying for all your articles to rank on the first page of Google. It's expensive. So the best thing is to do what you can to make sure that you make it to the first page of Google. And that's what SEO does for you. So you just do the right thing and you can promote your work without spending a dime. So here I wrote that there's no human behind Google managing how your content appears on results pages. So there's nobody behind it saying, oh, I like this person, so their content would appear first, or I don't like this person, or I think this content is great. There's nothing like that. So the thing works with an algorithm. The same way your Instagram algorithm works, and it presents a particular post first before some others. It doesn't matter when you publish a post. So there's an algorithm working on these things. So you want to write in a way that this algorithm understands what you're writing and they can read the content you're writing. Do you understand? So this is why I kept saying that, okay, as technical writers, you should understand the basics of how these things work. There are robots, there's an artificial intelligence, there are crawlers that work on these things. So you want to build your site or you want to build your site in a way that, or you want to write your content in a way that Google can read it and understand what you've written, because there's no human being reading your content. So when you're writing your content, remember that you're writing for search engines and at the same time writing for human beings. So you have to create a balance between between both ends. I'm writing for human beings, yes, I want them to understand what I've written, and at the same time, I want the algorithm to understand what I've written. And now there's something I didn't mention when I mentioned on-page SEO and off-page SEO. I did not mention that on-page SEO can also be divided into content SEO and technical SEO. So content SEO is the writing part. Technical SEO, which some of you might be familiar with, is the, should I say back end now? Is the back end. It deals with the website itself. So it's why if I'm working on a site or a brand, as much as I'm doing my best to make sure that the content SEO is great, I have to also make sure that the website is great for my content. Because if the website is slow, for example, like you go to a website and it's very slow, it's taking like 10 seconds to load one page, that's not great, because it will affect my SEO. Why? A lot of people will click on the link to read the article I've written because my article is great. Now they click on the link to read the article I've written, but because the page is taking so much time to load, they are unable to read the content. So some of them will just vex and leave the site because it's taking too much time. So because they keep leaving the site, they don't wait for it to load before they leave the site. Google will pick these things. Google will say, okay, or the algorithm of your site to pick these things and say, okay, people are coming to this site, but they are not reading the content, they are leaving immediately. Now, the algorithm is not going to say that, oh, it's because the site is slow, but the content is great. The algorithm is not going to notice that. The algorithm is going to see it as your content is trash. It's going to see it as your content is not helping anybody. Nobody's learning from your content. They're coming to your page and they are leaving. So because of that, even if your post was number 1 before, it's going to drop it to number 100 and put better posts there, because there are other posts that can rank better and they have a fast page. So there's a technical part of this whole thing. There's a technical part, there's a content part, that's an on-page SEO. And there's off-page SEO, that's the publicity part. So you can be working with a brand now and say, oh, I want my content to rank. And you've learned everything about content SEO and you've done your part. But if the brand doesn't have a good website, if they have poor fonts, if they have poor design, it's not going to work. And if they have poor publicity, if they have very terrible marketing, it's not going to work, especially if it's a new site. If it's an established site that you know that okay, it has been around for about 10 years and they've done the publicity in the past, you can publish an article and it will fly because people will still engage it. But if it's a new site, you need a lot of work to go on there. Please, are you still following me? You can just thumbs up if you're still following me, please. All right, thank you guys. Then so quick question. Have you ever searched for something on Google and went all the way to the 13th page for answers? I need your responses. Have you ever searched for something on Google and went all the way to the 13th page? Anybody? 13th page. Like you kept scrolling all the way to 13th page. What were you looking for? I'm curious. What were you looking for the 13th page?
Can I answer?
Yes, please go ahead.
So when you run a search on Google, the first page shows you about 890 million results in maybe 60 seconds. So I started going page by page to see if we actually have that number. And I realized that even by the 13th page, it dropped to less than 40,000 results. So the algorithm is not
So it
telling
was
us the
out of
truth.
curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Zushuku. Then Joy has something to say. Please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes, I've searched up to the 13th page because what I was actually looking for, I was not getting it. I don't know what seems to be the problem, but my solution, or let me say my answer, came in much later after going through series of pages on Google. I tend to get the appropriate answer I was looking for. The ones I was seeing earlier was not meeting up my targets. I think that is the reason why I've been.
So did you guess what you're looking for?
Yes, I got it, but at end of it, I kept on searching. I kept on going through each post I see on the main page. But if I'm not comfortable with the answer, I go to the next page of the Google. That's how I was able to get the answer I was looking for. But by the time I noticed, I've gone to like 9th or 10th page of the Google search engine, just looking for one answer.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So, Tadi, please speak. You can go ahead.
Okay, for me, I rarely do that though. So if I search on anything on Google and I do not get what I'm looking for, maybe first and second page, what I do is to rephrase my question or whatever I'm looking for. So I hardly
Okay.
go through first to last page for me.
Okay. That's a very good response. Thank you, Tadi. So for those who said they've gone all the way to 13th page before, you bear me witness that this is not something you do every single time, right? Please comment. Is this something you do every single time? No. Obviously not. So maybe it's like a one-time thing. I've done it before too, but that was like years ago. Because I was trying to look for something. I was being curious. I was working on a site and I wanted to know, okay, at what point or where does this site rank for this particular keyword on Google? So I kept looking and looking and looking, and I got all the way to 17th page before I found it. And I realized that okay, this site needs a lot of work. But after that, I don't think I ever go to the 13th page. And like Tadi said, I would rather rephrase it. I think someone else mentioned that I would rather rephrase it than stressing myself to go all the way, especially if you have a lot of work to do. So it's not something you do all the time, obviously. Maybe once you've done it once. But so now the point here, why I mentioned this is because this is why people are fighting. This is why people are fighting to get to the first page of Google. This is why people are fighting not just to get to the first page, but to make it to the number one on Google. So everyone is fighting for that spot because they know that when people search for something, if I have my answer, for those of you who went to the 13th page, if you saw your answer on the first page, would you have gone to the 13th page? No, you wouldn't have done that. So if you see someone else's website on the first page and you got your answer from that first page, there's no reason whatsoever for you to go to the second page, let alone the 13th page. So everyone is fighting for that top page because they know that if you're not careful, your customers or your competitors will take all your customers from the first page. So you're trying so hard to market your products, you're trying so hard to do what you can, but at the end of the day, somebody searches for where to buy clothes in Enugu, Nigeria, and they saw somebody else's brand, they will go for that person. On Instagram, if I search for clothes in Enugu, I will go for the first one I see that I think it's to my taste. I won't go all the way to the hundreds option if I can find what I'm looking for in the first page. Do you understand me now? So this is now the fight. Everyone wants to make it to the first page of Google. Everyone wants to let me try as much as I can, because when people search for these things, and we have a very short attention span these days, people don't have that patience to be looking for something when they know that okay, what they're looking for is right there before them, staring at them. So there are many things involved in SEO, like I've said, but today I'm going to focus on keyword research, because keyword research is the foundation of SEO, because it deals with keyword. When people search for something on the internet, when they use a search query is just what you enter on Google search. When they use a search query, they're entering a particular keyword. The reason why someone is searching for clothes in Enugu is because they are hoping that they will find a site that is catering to clothes in Enugu. And if they find that site, the site will most likely have the keyword clothes in Enugu. Do you understand? So keyword is very important. We can break down the keywords into different sections. We can have a bucket keyword, which is like a broad keyword. We can have a subsection, like a short tail keyword, a long tail keyword. These things are very important. So I'm going to focus on keyword for this particular session. Do you have any questions so far before I continue?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Oluwatosin. So my question is a funny one. So now everybody wants to be on the first page. So my question is, what do you think someone can do over the other to be on that same first page? Let's say I do the right thing, the keywords, I make sure the technical section, everything is fine, everything is on point. I make sure I use some both paid tools like SEMrush and also free tools and all together just to make sure I get everything. But I did not rank up to the first 10 pages, but someone that also did the same thing came out first. So what could be the problem? That is one. And the second one is, what can I do better?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think I get this question every time I have an SEO class. So I was kind of expecting it. So the thing about SEO is there's a lot involved in SEO. I can just mention there's a keyword part, but there's also the keyword is like a major part of it. But there's also, like I mentioned earlier, also there's the technical SEO, that's the website itself. There are many things involved in the website, the way the crawlers work, the page loading speed, the design, all those things play a role. There's also the off-page SEO. I don't know if you were there when I was discussing it. There's the off-page SEO, which is publicity, marketing, and so on. So it's not just your content. That's number one thing. Then another thing also is you can even get all these things right and still not rank for a specific keyword. So you can get all these things right perfectly. But at the end of the day, we have 10 slots, maybe 10 slots on the first page. So if you don't make it to the first 10 slots, you probably be on next page because it's according to how you matter to Google. So during the COVID-19 period, for example, a lot of people publish things about COVID-19, how to wash your hands properly, or things you can do to avoid getting infected. Now imagine if a website like Content and Planning, that's my site, contentandplanning.com, published a post for that COVID period and say, oh, this is how to take care of your health this is how to take care of your health and avoid getting infected. I published that post on Content and Planning. And WHO published the same post. Center for Disease Control published the same post. Forbes published the same post. Entrepreneur.com published the same post. Do you think I stand a chance? So in this particular case, the keyword I'm ranking for has a high difficulty level. So there's SEO difficulty level. It has a high difficulty level because there are so many people ranking for it. One. Then number two, the people ranking for it are not my mates. The people who have been in the business for so long, they have an authority on Google. Google respects them more than they respect me. Google doesn't even know me. They probably just knew me like 1 year ago. But they knew these people for years, for decades. They've known these ones and they know that whatever they say about COVID-19 is true and accurate. So Google will place priority on this site over my own site. Another thing also is they've been publishing about health for so long, specifically on health for so long, but I've been publishing on marketing and writing. I'm not even in the field at all. I'm not in the niche. So that's another thing also you have to consider. So at the end of the day, there are times when I search for a particular keyword and my site is ranking on the first page. And another site that is a high site is ranking on the third page. There are times like that. You'd see a very good site, they're on the third page. Does it mean they're not doing something right? It just means that Google has found a better site or a better content that they would rank better, that they will rank on the first page higher than the other one. So there are many things involved, and not all your posts will make it to the first page. There's a brand I currently work for or work on. They asked for a report on their SEO, and I've written about 30 posts for that brand. And when I did the analysis, I realized that about 6 made it to the first page. And I've been talking about their off-page strategy. It's poor, but they didn't answer me. But just recently, I took it upon myself and started to publicize their post as much as I can on my platforms. And I realized that since I started doing that, we've been getting good progress. So out of 30 posts, hi, are you trying to say something? Okay, so out of 30 posts, I realized that about 6 made it to the first page. So, and that's fine, that's pretty decent because not all your posts will make it to the first page of Google. Not even WHO have all their posts on the first page of Google. It just depends on what they're ranking for, who is your competitor, where you're competing with for this particular keyword at this time. And also, like I said, your technical SEO. If your site is ugly and people are not they're not able to read your content as much as they want to, things like that can contribute to it. So I hope that answered your question, Wisdom.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
I have a little contribution too. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so Wisdom asked about why can't you, what's the problem if you don't rank within the first 10 and what can you do better? Remember someone mentioned changing the search query when doing that. So if you wrote about COVID-19 and Google is ranking that of WHO larger, I think it's also dependent on location and the search query. Because if your content was targeting COVID-19 crisis in Enugu or in Southeast, and the person is searching for this thing from Enugu, right? There is a likelihood that Google is going to include your content within the first 10 based on the user location and probably based on the search query, which guides us that when writing, we could consider niche base and identification, like specific location when publishing content. Thank you.
Did you mute yourself?
Yeah, I'm done. I said thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So that's a very good point also, which is why I mentioned SEO difficulty of the particular keyword you're ranking for. So you can always switch your keyword or change the keyword you're ranking for. I mentioned clothes in the Enugu. That's a specific keyword. We're going to discuss these things. So there's a bucket keyword and there's a specific keyword. So if I'm talking about best clothes to buy, that can be global. But if I say best clothes to buy in Enugu, I'm being specific about my location. So that way you narrow your competition. So now I'm no longer competing with Zara. I'm no longer competing with all these top brands, top clothes brands. I'm not competing with people who are in Enugu. Do you understand? Or people who are in Lagos. I don't know if I'm using Enugu, but people who are in Lagos, people who are in Enugu, people are in different. So you can decide to niche your keyword. So these things are important. Thank you, Izuchukwu. So let's go to the next thing. Here I mentioned keyword research and targeting. So these are the things you have to consider. What are you considering in your keyword research? How do you research your keywords? How do you choose and use your keywords? How do you place your keyword? And also audience persona. So these are things we're going to discuss. I should use Port Harcourt. Okay, clothes in Port Harcourt, please. Buy clothes in Port Harcourt. So next thing, we're going to discuss this point in this particular post. Please, let's go ahead. So what do you consider in keyword research? You have to consider the relevance of the keyword. How relevant is this? The authority of the keyword and the volume of the keyword. So is this keyword, is it relevant in this particular niche I'm working on? Is this keyword useful? What's the authority of this keyword? Does it make sense? Are people searching for this thing? What's the volume? The volume is telling you how many people are searching for this thing per time. So these are things that you can either try to think of with your head, but also you can use a keyword tool. We're going to discuss keyword tools in this post also. So let me share another tab on my screen. Please hold on. So let me search clothes in Port Harcourt. This is clothes in Port Harcourt. So this one is showing Google My Business or Google Map. So you can see list of clothing boutiques in Port Harcourt. You can see 10 best clothes in Port Harcourt. These are different sites that made it to the top page that I can choose from. I don't have to go to the 8th page. I don't have to do all of that. I can just search for this ones here. So now I use keyword everywhere, which is a tool I use. It's an extension. So whenever I search for this extension, I can turn it off here if I want to. So whenever I search for something on Google, it shows me different things on the side, like the SEO difficulty level and blah, blah, blah. So I can see related keywords, what I need to know. I can set it to, do I want it to be global or do I want to set it to a particular location? The locations available are here. So usually I use global because I'm usually writing for a global audience. So you can try to use this and check, okay, what's the volume like? So here, if you can see this, under here, it wrote 0 per month. It's not exactly 0, but you just write 0 because, okay, maybe it's not really significant. It's telling you that there are not so many people searching for this thing on the internet. So before I even choose a keyword, I want to ask myself, is there an audience for this? Are there people searching for this particular thing? This doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because, especially if you own a brand in Port Harcourt, a clothes brand in Port Harcourt, that's not really. But on a global scale, they are saying that not so many people search for this, which makes sense. If my location is specifically set to Port Harcourt, you'd notice that this will increase because there are people searching for this in Port Harcourt, maybe. But people, not everyone in Nigeria is searching for this. What's the percentage of people in Nigeria or Nigerians searching for clothes in Port Harcourt specifically? So if I search for, let's see, best clothes to buy. Okay, best clothing stores in Lagos. Let's see. Best clothing stores in Lagos. This particular keyword or search query. Let me see. Here it says online clothing stores in Lagos 110. The volume. That's like a monthly search. Like on average, 110 people are searching for this particular thing. Let's search for. Even from here, you can see Instagram clothing stores in Lagos 70 per month. Online clothing stores in Lagos 110 per month. If you search for best clothing stores, maybe generally, see a different thing. Still loading. Someone can see my screen. I hope others can see my screen. Okay. So you can see best clothing stores is showing you that there are 3,600 people searching for this per month, or 3,600 searches monthly, because this is based on a monthly scale, I believe. It's a monthly scale and it's global. So you see these things and know that, okay, there are actually people searching for these things. And you don't even have to check for this sometimes. Sometimes you can just know that people are searching for these things, especially if it's a trending topic at time. Like when COVID-19 was raining, of course, a lot of people were talking about COVID-19. But what about COVID-19 specifically? COVID-19 is a bucket keyword, is a very big keyword, but you can break it down, you can narrow it down, you can have a long tail keyword and make it more specific. Like, okay, I think that was what Izuchukwu mentioned and said, if you narrow it down to your particular location or your local government area, it changes a lot of things. So you want to consider what's the relevance of this keyword I want to rank for, what's the authority, what's the volume. Does it make sense? Is this something that I really want to rank for? Is it something I want to write about? Are people looking for benefits of content writing, or am I just writing it for fun? So you want to know your audience. Who are you writing for? Why are you doing this thing? Because remember, we're talking about content writing, not even about making sales. We're talking about content writing. Are people willing to read this particular content I'm about to write? So these are things you consider before you start ranking for a particular keyword. Don't just rank for a random keyword that doesn't make sense. I search for clothes in Port Harcourt. It's showing that there are not a lot of people searching for that. You can change it and say, okay, maybe best clothes in Port Harcourt. That might make a difference. You can change it to something else. That might make a difference. So these things are very important. Someone is asking if I pay for this tool. Yes, I pay for this tool. There are different SEO tools. We're going to discuss that in this. It should be my slides. The different SEO tools. So there are free ones. There are paid ones. So it depends on what you're looking for, what you need in each particular tool, or what you want to achieve with your tool. So there are some that is like $100 a month. There's some that is like as cheap as possible. There's some that are free, but the free one they have their limits. So you have to figure out which one you want to use. So how to research? How do you research your keyword? So you look for general bucket keywords or canopy keywords. Look for related keywords and keyword phrases. Know your user intent. Use related search terms and keyword tools. So we're going to break this down also. If you look for, the first thing is look for general bucket keywords. Like I said, I mentioned COVID-19 is a bucket keyword. Bucket keyword in the sense that it's so large, it's a big keyword, it's a canopy keyword, it's so big. If I say my keyword is teenagers, it's a very broad keyword. Teenagers, what happens to teenagers? What about teenagers? What's wrong with teenagers? What am I writing about teenagers? What specifically am I talking about in teenagers or COVID-19 or content writing? Content writing is a bucket keyword. So you can suggest based on your niche or what you write about. Can you suggest a bucket keyword based on what I've explained now? They're usually one or two words, but it's a very broad word, very broad. Just leave it in the comment section. Suggest something as a general bucket keyword. Let me know if you get it. Blockchain, that's very broad. Even inside blockchain, you see cryptocurrency, programming, cloud computing, that's a broad keyword. Health is very big, it's very large and wide. In fact, you want to rank for something like health, you have to know what you're doing. It's a very broad keyword. Technology, that's broad also, it's just like health. Then web hosting, then adulthood. Yes, what are you discussing about adulthood? What are you discussing about web hosting? So you have to be more specific, but before you arrive at the keyword you're going to use, you have to consider a general keyword, or a bucket keyword, or a canopy keyword. Tools, yes, that's broad also. So the first thing you want to establish is when I created my website for my NGO, well, that was thingsmeetonline.com. The first thing I established was my bucket keyword. That was teenagers. I'm targeting teenagers, quite all right. But more specifically, for each post you write, for everything you do, you have to consider a more specific one, but not the general thing you want to discuss about. Especially if you're working on a website. Remember, you'll be writing content. You can write content for a particular post. Maybe someone called you, work on this particular post for me. Just one post, and you keep it moving. But there are times when someone can call you to work on an entire website. I've worked on an entire website before, and it was on email marketing. So the first thing I wanted to consider is, what's my bucket keyword? My bucket keyword obviously was email marketing. Now, when we narrow it down to my blog post, when I started publishing blog posts, I started thinking of more specific keywords. But I know that in everything I'm writing or working on, it points back to the bucket keyword, which is email marketing. So you have to know What is the niche? This helps you narrow it down to your niche. What's the niche I'm working on? Is it blockchain? Is it web hosting? Is it tools? Is it childcare? Is it health? Is it technology? If you don't know your niche, you can just get confused. Today you're writing about technology, tomorrow you're writing about something that doesn't even tally with it. So you have to know what exactly you're working on. And if a site is niche specific, it helps your SEO. If your site is niche specific, it helps your SEO. So if you look at contentandplanning.com, it's specifically on writing and marketing content. Nothing more than that. You won't see me talking about adulthood is scam on that site because I want to be more specific. That also help your domain. Like my contentandplanning.com is because it's discussing about content and planning. Teesmeetonline.com is because it's discussing about teenagers. Entrepreneur.com because it's for entrepreneurs. So you don't necessarily have to align the link to your site to the keyword, not necessarily, but it usually helps. Most times it helps your SEO. So you see that SEO is not just writing your content, it starts from building the site itself. So that's what I always prefer when brands want to build a site. If you care about SEO, it's best to hire someone to work with you as you build the site. So I've worked on a number of sites like that where they call me in at the beginning while they're building the site to work with them. So they don't just design rubbish and develop rubbish, and then in the future they want it to automatically rank for certain keywords. It doesn't work that way. You have to do a whole revamp. And I've also worked with another brand in New York like that. She wanted to revamp the whole thing because they've done the site, but she realized that it was not ranking for anything. So she wanted me to work on the whole thing. So I had to change the entire content of the site. So these things are important. You start from the scratch, from the domain name, you start from the layout. You can even provide suggestions to the developers, the designers, let them know, okay, these are the things that are important if you really care about SEO. And this is more important, especially if you're not a big brand. A big brand can wake up, Elon Musk can wake up tomorrow and create a site and it will rank on the first page of Google because it's Elon Musk, but you're not Elon Musk. Exactly. So look for related keywords and keyword phrases. So now that you have a general bucket keyword for your article, let's assume you're writing an article or a page content, not the entire website now. So I've decided to come up with technology. So what about technology am I writing about? What are the related keywords to technology? What are the related things I want to talk about around technology? Because technology is broad. So what do you want to discuss? The person that mentioned technology, what do you want to discuss on technology? You have to consider other related keywords. Is it health and technology? I can discuss health and technology. So I can say, okay, something related like health, because health and technology or technology and health is something that is another keyword entirely on its own. Instead of just saying technology on a global scale, I want to talk about health in technology or technology in health. So you look for related keywords and keyword phrases, then know your user intent. User intent is simply saying that why is your user searching for this thing? Your user is the person who is reading your article or who is buying your products. Why are they searching for best clothing stores? Why? Because they're looking for a clothing store that has the best thing, right? So you have to know why they're searching for what they search for. What's your user intent? The reason why you're doing all of these things is because you want them to find your content. So why are they searching for this thing? This one will help you when you're writing the content because you'll be answering questions to their possible questions or their potential questions they are more likely to ask as they read your article. So your goal is to answer their questions as you write. So don't just say, oh, people are searching for this thing, let me write. You have to think, why are they searching for this thing? Why are they searching for benefits of content writing? It's because they're interested in content writing and they want to know how it benefits them. So you think about these things. SEO is not just, I just want to rank, I just want to use on WordPress to come up with something. You have to think deeply about user intent. Why are they searching for this thing? Why do they want to know about email marketing? Why do they want to learn about personalization strategies for email marketing? You want to know these things. They're very important. The next thing also is use related search terms. This is not very difficult because Google will help you with that. Let's check. So Google will help you with this because apart from this, my tool, you can ignore my tool. My tool is showing us related keyword search terms. You can just scroll down on Google. If you scroll down to the bottom, you see this. All these things are related things people are searching for. Now, remember that I searched for best clothing stores. This means it's global. So on a global scale, it's showing me all of these things. So it's telling me that people also specifically search for top 10 online clothing stores. This can be an option for me to write about. Wow, people actually search for this thing. People search for this. People search for this. People search for this. All of these things, you can use it as an idea for yourself, for your content you're writing. So usually I usually have like a sheet I work on, a Google sheet. And there, while coming up with the topic, if I see something else that people are actually searching for, I create a column for idea dump, and I put them there. I just dump them there. Like this particular one now, I would have dumped it in my idea dump so that in the future I can decide to write on it or research more on it and write about it. So this is about UK clothing stores. So let's focus on Nigeria. Best clothing stores in Nigeria. So we need to skip this Google Map, Google My Business. This is also an SEO strategy, by the way, but it's for your Google Map. You can open a Google My Business account for your business. We're talking about websites now, so we're going to scroll down. So this is best clothing stores in Nigeria. People are also searching for this now because Lagos is probably hot cake for these things. They're telling us that people search for this in Lagos. They search for female clothes stores. They search for this. So you can consider all of these things and use it to arrive at your topic or at your keyword. Like, okay, people actually search for these things. I can decide, okay, let me focus on Lagos because I feel more people search for this. I can decide, okay, online clothing stores. How about that? So all these things, while your bucket keyword can be clothing stores, you can now end up with online clothing stores as a specific keyword. You can end up with clothing stores in Lagos. You can end up with best clothing stores in Nigeria or best clothing stores in Lagos because you've done your research. First of all, you thought about it. What's my bucket keyword? Okay, I want to write about clothing stores. That's a bucket keyword. Then you now think about related search terms. I want to write about clothes. The related search term, okay, clothing stores. That's a good idea. I want to write about this. Then you now think further. What are the related search terms? What are people searching for? What would people want to buy? What would people prefer? Do they prefer online or offline? So all these things would now help you to come up with a keyword that you can use. All of this without even using the keyword tool. I'm just trying to let you know that even if you cannot afford a keyword tool for now, or you think you've not gotten to that point, you can still write an article. You can still come up with a keyword that makes sense. So without even checking the volume or whatever or relevance of these keywords, I can see from here that a lot of people search for this thing. They search for it so much that Google had to show us that this is what people are searching for. Google is showing us. So from this, I can generate a perfect topic or a perfect keyword that I can use for my article. Please, do we understand so far? Before I continue. Do we understand so far? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Ikechukwu, please go ahead. Ikechukwu, go ahead. I'm waiting for you. You raised your hand. If it's a mistake, lower your hand. Okay. So let's move on.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So this is short tail versus long tail keywords. You can divide your keywords into two. We talked about general bucket keywords. But now you can further divide it into short tail and long tail. So for short tail, they're usually short, like the word implies, short tail. 1 to 2 words. That's it. Long tail, they're usually long. 3 to 5 words. So if you say clothing stores, that's short tail. Short tail are usually your bucket keywords most times. Not necessarily. Your bucket keyword can be teenagers, and your short tail keyword can be depressed teenagers. Do you get? So short tail keyword are short. They're not specific. They're not usually the best. But you can use a mix of short tail and long tail keywords. It's the same way while I mentioned volume of keywords, you don't have to focus on large volume. You can see a keyword with 90,000 searches every month. There are keywords like that. Yes, let's check. I think if you search for marketing, let's see. Marketing, can you see marketing volume? Marketing is saying 1,220,000 per month searches. This is a bucket keyword. It's very large. It's huge. So you can have this, and at the same time, you can use this in your keywords, quite all right. And at the same time, mix it with a keyword that doesn't have this much searches. So you mix it. You don't just use, it's just like using hashtag on Instagram. You can use a hashtag that has 2 million views and also use a hashtag that has 300 views. And it's one with 300 views that will bring you more engagements. So these things are important. Okay, let's go back to what I was talking about. Okay. So short tail keywords, 1 to 2 words, they're usually non-specific. Marketing, email marketing, that's a short tail keyword. Is not specific. But if you want to be more specific, you can now say best email marketing tools. That's specific because it's not just saying a general email marketing. When you say best email marketing tools, it's telling you that's a long tail keyword. It's more targeted, it's more specific because it's telling you that, okay, we're not just talking about email marketing, we are talking specifically about the tools. This is what we're talking about right now. Or best email marketing strategies, we're talking about the strategies. Or email marketing ideas, we're talking about ideas right now. It's more specific. That's a long tail keyword. So it's always best to, when you do your research, you don't just focus on one keyword. You can have a bucket keyword for your article, but you can also have like 2 to 3 keywords that you'd research and say, okay, I want to use these 3 keywords in my article. Quite all right, you will have your major one, like this, the more prominent one, you have that. The primary keyword, you have that. Others will not be like related keywords that you're just attaching to the particular one you've used. So we use clothing stores. That's a short tail keyword. But when you say clothing stores in Enugu, you're more specific. It's a long tail keyword. You're more specific about what you're writing about because you're focusing now on Enugu. Clothing stores in Port Harcourt, you're focusing now on Port Harcourt. Best clothing stores in Lagos, you're not just focusing on Lagos, but you're focusing on the best ones in Lagos, not just any big clothing store. Please, do you understand this so far? Please thumbs up if you understand so far. Okay, thank you, Nathan, Nika, Basi, Victoria, Sediat, everybody. All right. So it's best to have a mix of both short tail and long tail. Don't just say, oh, my keyword is teenagers. Teenagers what? They have to focus on long tail keywords, and it can also help you when you're writing your article because you know that, okay, in your title, you're going to insert your long tail keyword that is more specific. So I mentioned 3 to 5 words because I don't want people to be using a very long tail keyword that is like a sentence. Preferably keep your keyword between 1 to 5 words. Sometimes it can be 6 words, sometimes it can be 7 words, but that's very, very rarely. So it's best to keep it within 5 words. Don't go too far. Don't be too ambitious and use a very long keyword because people won't search a whole sentence. Hardly will they search a whole sentence. They'll just search for how to cook egusi on the internet, and that's it. How to cook egusi is how many words? That's specific. How to cook is not specific, but how to cook egusi is more specific. So that's what people search for on the internet. So you have to be more specific. So keyword tools in SEO keyword research. So there are many keyword tools out there, like I mentioned already. So it depends on what you want to use the tool for. Some are free, some are paid, but they offer different and similar features. But the most similar one or the common feature is that they help with keyword research. Every one of them, all the SEO tools, because like I said, keyword research is like the foundation, the bedrock of SEO. So all these tools commonly help with keyword research. But you now have to decide which one am I going to use? What do I need this thing for? Because let me tell you, digital marketers also use these tools. SEO strategists, they use this tool. SEO content writer, they use this tool. Technical SEO people, they use this tool. Everyone use these tools. So it depends on what are you looking for. So SEMrush, for example, SEMrush is a very common SEO tool, but at the same time, SEMrush is broad. I think they charge about $100 per month. So much is broad. So mostly, if it's a company, they pay for it and they give access to their workers. So as I am like this, I'm not going to use SEMrush. I'm going to pay for SEMrush because I'm a content writer and I'm not specifically attached to a company. So it's not every time I even use this SEO tools. So I'm not going to pay for something and be spending $100, which I don't have every month for a particular tool. They know that I'm not going to explore all the features. Do you get my point now? So you have to determine, what do I want? What do I need from each of these or this particular tool that I want to use? What exactly am I using it for? So I ended up using Keywords Everywhere. At first it was free, but they started charging. And for Keywords Everywhere, you have to just buy credits. I think I bought 100,000 credits. Now I have about 81,000 or so. So you just have to buy credits for Keywords Everywhere. I don't think you can see my extension. You can see the extension here, but it's an extension on my browser. So once I just buy that and that's it, I just buy credits every, how much do I even buy it? With $10, I buy my credits. And once the credits finish, you renew it. But once it expires, you renew it. And that's it. So for me, what I needed in my keyword tool was I needed something to show me the volume, to show me alternatives to keywords. There are times when I use SEMrush. There are times when I use other tools. But I use the free version instead. I'm always of the opinion that you should use free versions as much as you can. When you have free resources, use them as much as you can before you start going to the paid ones. Use them as much as you can. So you notice that some of these tools, they will tell you have only 7 tries. That means if you make like 7 requests on their platform, they will tell you you have to pay or you come back tomorrow. So in that kind of situation, if you're working for a particular brand, maybe just this particular time, you need extensive, like if I'm working with a brand, for example, at the beginning stages, I need to know about their competitors. I need to know the keywords their competitors are using. I would go to SEMrush, and I'll use SEMrush free access. Some of them will have like a 7-day free trial. I'll use SEMrush free access for that particular period, but I know that I can't pay for a whole month because I'm not going to use it. It's a waste of money. I don't want to be wasting money. So these things are important. You have to consider what am I using it for and so on. So there are different tools. For example, there's Google Trends. Google Trends, you don't have to pay for it. Let's check. Let's check for Google Trends. You don't have to pay for it, but Google Trends tells you how something has trended over time in a particular location. So you have to check with Google Trends, you can just check a particular keyword or a particular word. If I search for elections in Nigeria now, you'd see when it trends the most. Elections. If you have any questions, please leave it in the box. Elections in Nigeria. So you can see elections in Nigeria over time when it trended the most. This is in April. Let's see. I want to change the, what's it called? This is for past day. I want to check for in the past 12 months in Nigeria. This is location Nigeria. When people search for it, in the past 12 months, elections in Nigeria trended the most 19th to 25th of February, which makes sense because we had our elections that period, right? It trended 19th to 25th of February. We saw that. Then this one was a peak in May 2022. Maybe there was a discussion around it, but it's telling us that we had more searches in February 2023, and that makes sense. So we can also decide to check in the past 5 years or 2004 to present. Let's see what's it's saying there. So this is from 2004 to 2003. Look at these spikes. Look at these spikes. In fact, I want to just do 5 years. Let me do 5 years. That's more specific. Let's do 5 years. And look at the spikes when it's trending the most. Okay, this is past 5 years. This is in February 2019. Can you see this? Like there was an election in February and March 2019. That was why people search for it the most. Now nothing happened until, look at this, in 2022. I'm coming. This is 2022. Then this is 2023. This is 2023. So with this, you can tell that okay, every 4 years in Nigeria, people search for these things a lot. So now you want to write your content around the time when people in Nigeria are more likely to read this content. So you know if February 2027 is approaching, you can decide to start creating your content and writing about elections because people are more likely to search for this particular keyword in Nigeria at this particular time. That's what Google Trends tells you. There's some other keyword tools that will show you keyword trends. Like the one I use, it shows me keyword trends already. So you can also just check this to know. Look at this specifically by region. You can also break it by region, sub-region, instead of just saying Nigeria in general. So maybe you want to write about elections in Kano. You can check how it trends over the years or how people have searched for this particular thing. With this data, we can tell that people actually search for elections in Nigeria around this period. So chances are that they would search for this particular query and they will read your article because there's demand for that article. Please, do you understand? Thumbs up if you understand. Thank you, Victoria, Nathan, Basi, Phoebe, Nika, and everyone. Okay, so next thing, I mentioned some of the tools, Keyword Planner, Google Trends, Keywords Everywhere, which is one I use. Then there's Moz, there's Hrefs, there's HubSpot, and there's more. So what these tools do is to show you the search volume, relevance, competition of the keywords you're ranking for. Some will also show you what your competitors are ranking for. That's mostly if you're working for the entire SEO of a particular website. You want to check what their competitors are ranking for or what they are not ranking for. This tells you, okay, if my competitors are ranking for this particular word and it's making them thrive, they're doing well, you want to copy them and maybe steal from their keywords. That's one. Number two, if a keyword is doing well, but your competitors are not using the keyword, it can be to your advantage because you can now use the keyword in your own content and it will rank better. That means if people search for that particular keyword on Google, they'll most likely see your website, not your competitor's website, because your competitors did not rank for that keyword at all. So these things help you to check your competitors. It's best for if you're working on the entirety of a brand, not just one article. Working on the entirety of a brand, it's actually very effective because you want to know about your competitors, not just the brand you're working on. Because remember, if you don't make it to the first page of Google, your users or your customers are going to follow your competitors, the people who made it to the first page of Google. So these are just examples of tools you can use. Then how to find and choose keywords. Use keyword tools, low-hanging fruit, check the monthly search volume. All these things are available in the keyword tools you use. Consider the SERP features. SERP is search engine results pages. Then create a balance of head terms and long tail. Head terms like short tail keyword and long tail keyword. I mentioned that already. Then check the competitors. I mentioned that already. So consider SERP features, how to find and choose keywords. SERP features, let's just go back to this. Let's go back to best clothes in stores in Nigeria. So sub features are like the one we saw earlier. Related search terms here. This part of the SERP features. SERP is search engine results pages. So this is your first page of search engine results pages. So this entire thing is your SERP, is your search engine results page. If I go to page 2, that's page 2 of my search engine results page. Please do we get that? So these are part of the SERP features. The search results, then the titles you're seeing here, they're part of it. You can just say, okay, from this, based on this, what are people writing about? Even this one, related questions, they're part of your SERP features. These are what people are asking for. So I can include this in my subheading in my article. If I'm writing about top 10 best clothing stores in Nigeria, that's a perfect topic. I can decide, okay, in one of the subheadings I'm including, I can include what is the most popular clothing in Nigeria because people are asking these questions. So I want to rank for these two. I can say, okay, I will include this in my subheading and discuss it. I cannot discuss, okay, what are the 10 top clothing. Remember that my topic is top 10 best clothing stores in Nigeria. So I'm going to include this particular heading because people are asking these questions. Or what clothes are trending in Nigeria. So you can use all of these things to come up with your keywords. Just search. What I usually do before I even use my tools, I use my tools just for formality most times. What I use mostly is just brainstorm. Think about what can I write about? What are people talking about today? What do I think people are looking for on my site? Like my site now, I use Google Analytics to review my site. And when I check, I realize that people stumble on my site after searching for a particular thing on Google. So if I see that a lot of people are searching for maybe content writing on Google just to find, and they find my site, that means there's so much demand for content writing. So I want to write about content writing more because I know that people are looking for these things. Or I noticed that a lot of people are reading more articles on marketing on my site. I want to now start writing about marketing because I know that people are going to read it because there's a demand for it on my site. So all these things is just brainstorming, doing a quick research, brainstorm as much as you can. You think critically. You don't just sit down and write. You think. The more you do it, the easier it gets. That's the thing about SEO. As you do it, it gets easier along the line. So it's not rocket science. Phoebe, please go ahead. Sure, stop. Okay. Phoebe, raise your hand. Was it a mistake?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was. Sorry.
All right. So where do you place your keywords? Now that you've come up with your keywords or specific keywords you want to use, where do you place them? This is why I said this class is a summary. So if it was like a whole course, I would have discussed this entire thing. So you place the keywords in your title tags, but we can brush through it. So when I mentioned 10 best clothing stores in Nigeria, that's my title. My keyword, remember, my primary keyword is best clothing stores in Nigeria. That's my primary keyword. I've placed it in my title. Perfect. You can place it in your heading or subheading tags. That's the subheadings you have in your article. You can place it in your meta description. Your meta description is usually on your content editor. So if you're editing on WordPress directly, if you have extra time, I can show you my WordPress account. If you're editing on your WordPress account or a standard or a more advanced WordPress account, you would see a space for meta description where you can insert your meta description. So your meta description is simply, let me show you. It's like a summary that shows on your results pages. So look at this now. When you search for best clothing stores in Nigeria, this is your meta description. This is your meta description. The meta description of this particular site. This is a meta description. From what I'm seeing so far, these people did a very poor job on their meta description because, as you can see, look at this one. Where's that first one? Look at this one. It's breaking. Sojo is one of the best places to buy cheap clothes online in Nigeria. They have latest women's wear, blah, blah, blah. So this means that these people probably did not write their meta description themselves. Because the thing is, if you don't write your meta description yourself, Google is going to pick like the first few words in your article and use it for you automatically. But there's a room for that when you're publishing your article. You can decide what you want to show on Google. Meta description also shows on when you share your content on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp. That snippet that shows is your meta description. So when people decide if they want to read your article or not, they check the title, number one, and they check the meta description before they can decide, okay, I want to read more about this post. So these things are important. So let's scroll down for more meta descriptions. So you can see these are not meta description. So you can insert your keyword inside here. This is one of the best ways to rank. Insert it in your title, insert it here. Best online shops in Nigeria, online clothing stores in Nigeria. This person kind of used their keywords. So let's search for something else. Email marketing strategies. Email marketing strategies. Let's check. We see good ones. To design your emails, layouts, the key elements, blah, 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 blah. So you get the idea of meta descriptions now. I like this one. Email marketing is the most direct and effective way of connecting with your leads, nurturing them and turning them into customers. Okay, you can use this one, Opt-in Monster. And Opt-in Monster is a good site. This is another thing. Let me just give you extra points when you're writing your article. When you're writing your SEO article, you have to include two types of links, internal link and external link. Internal link is a link from the site you're publishing on. External link is a link from a site outside of the site you're publishing on. So when you're using a link from outside of the site, like let's say I'm publishing a post on contentandplanning.com, and I want to include this particular link because I'm writing on email marketing. So I want to include links to this post to reference them on something they said. I'm going to check, is this link an authority site? Is it a link that Google respects? And a quick way to know is through the domain authority. As you can see here, domain authority says 71/100. Even from here, by just hovering over it, my keyword tool brings it up. 71/100. Domain authority is not even a big deal because number one, you can just search for domain authority tools on Google and there are free tools, many free tools to help you check. You don't even have to pay for that one. Many free tools. Even this one is free. This is MOZDA. It's an extension. It shows you and tells you, okay, 71/100 is a good score. Anything from 50 above is a very good score. It means that the site is a very high ranking site on Google. And when you use a site like that in your article, it tells Google one thing, that you're deliberate about your content, you're deliberate about sharing quality content to your readers. So because of that, Google can now say, okay, let me rank this post because this person is using quality content in their post. So all these things are important. So you can just check. You can also, there's some, what's it called now? There's some links you don't even have to check. Like Forbes, I don't have to check whether it's a high-ranking site. I know Forbes is a high-ranking site. WHO, I don't have to check. I know it's a high-ranking site. BBC, I don't have to check. CDC, I don't have to check. So there's some sites you just know. HubSpot, the one you write, there's some sites you just know naturally that they're great sites. That whatever they say is true and correct. Statista is great for statistics. Whatever they say is correct. So Google respects these ones. So you don't even have to think twice. You just have to take their link and insert them. Don't not go and insert link from one random blog from someone that is not recognized at all. You can insert their link quite all right, but at least support it with other authority links. These things help your article. So that's just an extra point. Please, if you're still following me, thumbs up, please. Just to be done. We should soon be done. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, so next thing also is your meta tags, and that's same as the meta description. Then your file names. If you're uploading a file in your content, you can name your file with your keywords. Then your link anchor. Link anchor is just when you hyperlink a text. Let's see. When you hyperlink a text, this can be your link anchor. Let me see if I can hyperlink here. Okay. So if I insert the link here, like, okay, contentplanning.com. If I insert the link here, that's my link, right away. But this particular word is my link anchor. This is my link anchor. Do we get it now? This is my link anchor. So this, you can have it written in your content and at the same time insert a link inside. So that's, just know that your keywords can be placed anywhere in your article. Anywhere, you can place it anywhere. But specifically, there are some strategic places you can place it to get Google's attention. So these are some of the places you can place it. And your page contents, like I said, anywhere in your page content, you can place it there. You can place your keywords there. Then don't stuff keywords. Don't stuff keywords. Let me show you what keyword stuffing is. Keyword stuffing is just because you want Google to find your content. So you now insert your keywords everywhere. Everywhere. There's one example I even like using. Let's see. So this is an example. So fire pits is your keywords, right? So you decide to use fire pits can create a blah blah blah. Fire pits, fire pits, fire pits, fire pits, fire pits, fire pits everywhere. Like, hello day, what's going on? So don't stuff a keyword everywhere just because you want Google to find it. It gets annoying. And also you remember that you're not just writing for search engines, you're writing for human beings. So if someone is reading this and they see fire pits 5 times or 7 times in one paragraph, then it's like, what's going on? Are you trying to write for me or you're trying to write for Google? So what is keyword stuffing? Keyword stuffing is when you see keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is when, let me even open it on a new tab. Keyword stuffing is when you add a lot of keywords to your article. Keyword stuffing is this. You just keep repeating the same thing and it's not even helping anybody. So be wary of that. Don't do that, please. Okay, so don't stuff your keywords. Then the final thing I'm going to discuss here is your audience persona. Your audience persona is just mostly you use it for when you're working on the entirety of a website, but you can also use it when you're writing on an article, because remember what I said about user intent. You want to know why your user is searching for this particular keyword. So you also want to know about your audience. Knowing about your audience helps a lot before you write, because when you're writing, you're focusing on the person you're writing for, which means that at the end of the day, when somebody searches for that on the internet, they will most likely find your content. Why? Because you wrote it with them in mind. Please, are we following so far before I go into audience persona? Any question so far? Okay, the person coordinating this course is leaving. Anyway, we'll be done soon. Yes, please go ahead, Ogenerubo. Let's go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the class so far. I'm learning a lot. So I have 2 questions.
Yes.
The first, I think you sort of addressed it, but it's a bit, the context is a bit different. So I used to write some content for a particular organization like 2 years ago or so, and they used to give a lot of keywords. Like for one article, you could have up to 10 or more keywords for like a 500 to 1,000 word article. So, but I mean, basically, the keywords were not the same terms. So there were general bucket terms, there were more specific terms. So I want to know, is it possible to have now not the same term but like different keywords? Is it possible to have too many keywords in an article? And if it's possible, what would you recommend as the I don't know, the limit that an article should try to put in, or can we just put in as many terms as we think might be relevant in case people decide to search for related topics? Then my second question is about abbreviations. Are abbreviations valid as keywords? So for example, if I'm writing about a health condition, and there's so for or let's say for example now cardiopulmonary resuscitation is popularly known as CPR. Can I use CPR as a keyword for my article if I decide to write on something related to cardiopulmonary resuscitation or emergency medicine and all of that? Can I use the abbreviation as a keyword?
Okay, thank you for your question. Very good questions, actually. So the first thing is about many keywords. One thing I would say, or one rule of thumb I use, is that for a 500 word article, I have a one specific keyword I want to rank for. Then for a 1,000 word article, I'm looking at 2 to 3 keywords I want to rank for. That doesn't mean you would have more keywords. It's possible you have more keywords. But at the end of the day, the people telling you to write an article and stuff keywords, like use a lot of keywords for it, they have a specific one they're definitely ranking for. It's the one in the title. That one is usually in the title. I'm currently working with a brand like that. They give me a lot of keywords to insert, a lot of pocket keywords, because they're telling you these words must be in this article. But at the end of the day, they have a specific keyword phrase they use, and it's usually in the title. You'd know that one for sure. That is the primary keyword they're ranking for. So the reason they do that is because, okay, they want to make sure that while you're writing, you are inserting some right terms. You're using the right terms. Like, okay, you're writing purchase. You're using purchasing instead of just using buy. You want to use purchase. You want to use. So they do that. But at the end of the day, the rule of thumb is they have one particular keyword they rank for. And like you said, it's not the same keyword. They're different keywords. They just want to throw them around. But as you write with the mindset of you're writing for an audience, for human beings who will read. So even the people telling you to insert this keyword, they will tell you to insert them organically. Like you don't have to insert them randomly, like doesn't make sense just because you want to fit into it. There are some people I write for, and I just let them know that I cannot insert all these keywords. I will try my best, but if some cannot fit in, I will not force them in. I will just let them go. Like these ones cannot enter, no matter what I do. I'm not going to write rubbish because I want them to enter by force. So at the end of the day, I don't think it really affects, because when you're researching for your keywords, you research broad. Like when I'm researching for my keywords, I actually have like 5 keywords I come up with from my research, but I don't use all of them for the article. I just like throw them randomly, and there's some I don't use. But when you're doing your research, you realize that a lot of things people search for connects to your article. So it's tricky to want to say, okay, you want to insert all of these things in this small article. But at the end of the day, remember that you have one particular one you're ranking for. If you look closely at the ones you're writing, check closely, check the title, you'd see that key phrase somewhere in the subheading. You see it again somewhere in the content. They have a particular one they're ranking for, at least one for 500 words, at least 2 for 1,000 words. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, before I go to the next one.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So the next question, you said abbreviations. Of course, they work, because when someone searches for CPR, not everybody would search for cardiopulmonary resuscitation on Google. So the chances that the idea that someone is searching for CPR on Google, it means that's a keyword to rank for. Someone is searching for it. Someone is searching for WHO on Google. That means you can rank for it, because that's what people will search for. So you have to think of what people will search for. People in Nigeria most likely search for how to cook egusi. They won't search for how to cook white soup, because white soup is a different thing entirely. So when people search for egusi, might not be an English word, but that is what they will search for on Google. People will search for how to make egusi or how to cook egusi. So you have to rank for that specific thing that your audience would search for. You have to know your audience. People are most likely to search for how to do CPR than to search for how to do cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And you can rank for both of them at the same time. I can rank for egusi and at the same time rank for melon soup. So you can rank for both of them at the same time, just because that's what people are going to search for. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. So Victoria said I should throw more light on external and internal links. That's not in my listening for today, but I think I might come back to that. But let me just address it. So internal links are links within your, instead of this, let me just share something from my blog, so we can share that. I'll go to audience persona and wrap it up from there. So this is the, let me look for one article I can just share. Or since we are discussing technical writing, let me look for an article on technical article. There's one technical article like that. I think I've passed one, but there's another one. Okay, marketing APIs should be a technical something. Okay, this was written by Jeff Omenuru. So if you see, this is a link. If you look below, just look at my lower left. I believe you can all see that. If you look at my lower left, you see the link where it's linking to. So it's linking to contentandplanning.com/digital marketing tips, because this one says digital marketer. So it's linking to a link in my site that talks about digital marketers. That's an internal link because I'm still within my website. Victoria, are you with me? So that's an internal link. So I have one internal link. So if I scroll down for other links, if I scroll down, this is Tom Johnson. Look at the link on my lower left. Tom Johnson, this is not my site. This is I'd rather be writing.com. That's not my site. So this is an external link. It doesn't have to do anything with my site. I'm linking to someone else outside of my website. That's an external link. So if I'm going to insert external links, I want to make sure that I'm inserting links that make sense. I don't want to fill my entire article with poor links because it can affect my SEO. So if I might insert one or two poor links, but I want to make sure that not all of them are terrible links. I'm using high authority links. This is why I usually use statistics most times, because if you're linking to a study or a research or a statistic, it's kind of a very good link. So let's look for other links. This is World Wide Web Consortium. So this is w3.org. I hope you can see the links on the lower left. w3.org is a very good link, I assume, or I know. I don't have to check. I just know that's a very good site because it's .org. Most .org sites are governmental sites. They're good sites. They're respected by Google. .org, .gov, .edu, that's for schools. .gov is for government agencies and all those things. So that's an external link that's inserted here. Let's check another one again. This one is an external link. This one is an external link. So all these things are useful. That's an external link. So do you understand, Victoria? Victoria, do you understand? Yes or no? Or she has left the meeting. Okay, she understands. So let's go back to where we were and we wrap up. So audience persona includes socio-demographic profile, personality, objectives, motivations, frustrations, preferred channels, and so on. So I'm going to teach you how to create an audience persona if you're writing, so you can know who you're writing for. You can do this seriously if you're working on a brand, the entirety of a brand, like you're working with a brand from scratch. But at the same time, you can just do this in your head if you're working on one particular article, like who am I writing for? So I'm going to break this down. So to know who you're writing for, you need to know their profile, their demographic profile, their personality, objectives, motivations, frustrations, their preferred channels, and so on. There are different ways to come up with your audience persona, but this is like a rough summary or a very good summary you can use. So this is it. You can go through this. So I'm working on a brand and I decided, okay, I want to come up with an audience persona that I'm going to use to create content for this site. So I decided, okay, what's the demographic profile of this person? What's her name, her age, her gender, the marital status, the race, where the person is living. So I decided, okay, this person, I'm going to name her Eri because you want to focus on one person as much as your audience can be teenagers in general. While you're creating your persona means one person, persona, one person. So you want to make sure that you're writing for one person. Then your goal will now be to publicize your content to many people who look like that one person or who fit into that category of one person. So the name of this person now is Eri. That's what I decided. I named my persona. My persona is going to be Eri. Eri is 25 years old, female, single, Black American, resident in the US. That's who Eri is. Eri might be a Nigerian, but she's currently residing in the US, which can mean a lot of things, which could mean that when I'm publicizing my content, I'm publicizing to someone who is in the US, not in Nigeria. So personality of this area is calm, engaging, excited about new ideas and products. Objectives is to start and grow a small brand as a creative. That's what Eri wants to do. Motivations of Eri, what motivates her? She needs a seamless process that can help her to do what she likes without sweating over it. What's her frustrations? She has to create and send emails from scratch. That's time consuming for Eri. Like, why do I have to create emails from scratch? Even though I need a seamless process that can help me do what I want. And remember that Eri wants to start and grow a small brand as a creative. Don't forget that. So what are the preferred channels for Eri? How is she likely to discover what I'm trying to sell? So Eri spends most of her days on Instagram, WhatsApp, and LinkedIn, which means that if I want to promote my content or my products to Eri, I have to promote it on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on LinkedIn. Eri is not on TikTok. So this person I'm looking for, she's not really on TikTok. So I don't have to waste my time on TikTok. That's my audience. So objections or arguments that will influence Eri's choice. A complicated or difficult to navigate products. If it's complicated, it's going to influence her choice, because remember that she's a busy person. She's trying to grow a small brand as a creative. So in summary now, I'm saying, okay, let me summarize my audience. Eri is a 25-year-old single Black American woman who lives in the United States. She works at daily 9 to 5, but enjoys being creative on the site. To kickstart her brand, share knowledge with more people, she needs to automate as much as she can while still making an impact. But she also can't afford the big names. Remember, she's just an entrepreneur. And products out there, especially since she's not yet making profits from this creative work. She needs an app that will help her automate her email marketing process and be affordable. If she finds the products that will help her automate her emails and create drip campaigns for specific audience personas and also meet her budget, she will certainly go for it. So the goal is to make her life and process easier than ever. So now that I've come up with this audience persona, my next step will now be whatever thing I'm writing for this site right now. I am writing for Eri. There are thousands and millions of people like Eri out there. So I'm focusing on Eri as I write. If I'm writing benefits of email marketing, I'm writing it for Eri. So when I write with the mindset that the person I'm writing for is busy. The person I'm writing for has a 9 to 5. The person I'm writing for is a solopreneur. The person does not have a team. The person does not have a big company. I'm writing for Eri, who is the owner of a small or medium-sized enterprise. So when I'm writing benefits of email marketing, you can be writing for a big company. That's different. But now I'm writing for someone who is working on a company alone. She doesn't even have team members. She's not paying anybody. She's just starting out. That's what I'm writing for. So it changes a lot of things. It helps you to be more specific and helps you decide the kind of subheadings you use in your title, how you're going to write, so that when Eri searches for something on the internet, she finds your exact article that is written to cater to her. And that makes a lot of sense. And that goes a long way. Please, do we understand this? Please, do we understand this? Thank you. So you don't have to create this entire thing. It's not as if when I want to write an article, I have to create this whole thing. No, you can just do a summary. Fine. I also, like, maybe when you just start, you can write in summaries. But at some point, these are things you just do in your head. Okay, I want to write an article on marketing APIs, a digital, what's the title of this thing? I want to write an article on this. I'm not a technical writer, but let's assume I want to write an article on this. I would just think, who is my audience? Am I writing for a beginner or am I writing for an expert? That's something you think about. Okay, I want to write an article for depressed teenagers. Who am I writing for? I just think in my head, okay, I'm writing for people within the ages of 13 to 19. That's number one. Where do they live? I can't be writing for depressed teenagers in Nigeria and I'm saying that they should go to Maldives and spend some time there. That's not going to work because I'm writing for teenagers in Nigeria. So you have to know your audience. If you don't know your audience, that's a problem. So I can't be saying someone is 15 years old in Nigeria should take a trip to Maldives. It's not going to make sense. Number one, where would they find the money? Number two, they have their parents. They're living with their parents here. They can't just disappear. That's not a sustainable this. But when you think of teenagers in Nigeria, you think of what you can do to help them in this particular situation. Who can they talk to? Do they trust their parents? Is this kind of setting? Do they actually trust their parents in Nigeria enough to tell them? Can they talk to someone in their school? Can they talk to a counselor? Things like that. You have to think within the confines of the location you are discussing. So know your audience is very important. Then to note, two things you must consider in keyword research and placement: your competitors and your content. So when you're writing, think about what other people in your niche are doing. Who are your competitors? Who are you competing with? Because like I said, if I'm writing on COVID-19, I can't really compete with WHO if they are also working on the same keyword with me. You can try as much as you can, quite all right, but there are many factors that contribute. Maybe if your article gathers a lot of views and comments and shares, maybe Google will say, okay, this thing makes sense, and they're going to rank you alongside WHO. But you have to consider your competitors. You also have to consider the content you're writing when doing your keyword research. So what do you want to talk about? Who is your target audience? What would your target audience rather search for on Google? These are things you have to consider. And finally, you have to know that there are no keywords, best keywords for SEO. So there's nothing like, oh, this is the perfect or best keyword for SEO. It's all about how you place the combination, how you combine it, the keywords you use, your bucket keyword, your long tail, your short tail, how you insert the keywords in your content, how you go about your off-page SEO, your technical SEO, everything comes together to make sure it works. So thank you very much. If you have any question, please go ahead. So that will be the end of my class.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was impactful, and I know everybody here really enjoyed the class. We learned a lot. So if you have any question, this is the time for you to ask. I know you've been asking questions already, so if you have more questions, so you can ask now. Okay, let's probably give like few seconds to see if we can get any question. Okay. So I guess no question. So Oluwatosin, thank you so much for your time. So any last words for us?
Yeah, I'll just say thank you too very much. I would just say that all these things will not happen in a day. It's all about consistency. So don't expect to be an expert in one day. And like I always tell my students, it's all about practice. If this was an actual course, you're going to have a task immediately after this course. It's immediately after this class, and you're going to do it. So that's the only way you can let me know you've actually understood this class. So every single class would have a task, a thorough task that you have to do, and I will mark. So it's all about practice. Don't just learn things and just go. All the things you've been learning so far, put them into practice. Decide after this class, you can decide to do a research on Google and start doing your own thing and look at the keyword tools you can use and write an article. And the next article you write, you want to make sure that it actually makes sense. If you're into marketing, marketing and content writing, you can decide to write on my website. I let writers publish on my sites for free. So you can publish on my site and decide, okay, you want to build your portfolio and learn with that. You can use the tools on my site to learn how to publish SEO article and things like that. So you have to keep practicing and learning. You can also follow my page, Content Plans. I think they've shared it already, and learn more about all these things for free. So it's all about practicing. That's my final words for everyone. Please don't just stick to one particular thing. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much. So for the tags we talked about, so can we reach out to you if you can maybe just give us the tags so we can share with them to do that? But you're not doing the marking, so we wouldn't give you the stress. So we'll do the marking.
Okay, I'll check. And who do I send it to?
Yeah, Bibi.
Or let me just hold on. Let me just check if I have it here.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you have it, can I maybe share our email address so we send it across so we'll share with them when we want to share?
Here's the thing, I can decide to generate one for you because the task I have is like a layered task because the classes are maybe class 1, you have a task, class 2, you have a class. So the final task consists of everything in total. So I can generate one task for you and share it with your email address. That's fine.
Okay,
yeah. Your email address.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for the knowledge. This is something people pay for real, like what you've given so far.
Money, actually.
What you pay for, and we got it for free. We just want to say thank you and God bless you. Whatever you're looking for, you will get it by force.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
thank you. And I can see I probably from the reactions, everybody enjoyed the class and they have learned so much. They're very much happy. And I know this would change their lives, because I personally added this in the curriculum myself because I felt it's needed as a technical writer, not because things have changed. Unlike before, you just write and you have a different department that will probably do the SEO, but right now most companies will require you to probably, have so many wings, so you fit into so
Exactly.
many departments. And since we're having more startups than companies that are well established, so having all this would give you a higher chance to get a job. So that's why I included that to this. And thank you so much for
It's my
not just killing
pleasure. Thank you.
it. And it's wonderful. The video will be out there for everybody to watch. I'll edit the video and upload it probably tomorrow or next. Then you can go back and also share it across too. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your time, because it's more like, it's almost 2 hours or more like, so it's easy for you to give us such time. Thank you so much. So can we clap, give some reactions, say thank you. Okay, you can see that already.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much. And good
All
night,
right,
good
bye.
morning, good evening,
Good
everybody.
night.
Good night, everyone.